Afternoon is Corporation Counsel Rob Quinn. The Buffalo Grand Hotel is quite possibly the most important hotel in downtown and the region, quite frankly. It has been vacant since late 2021. In June, I announced that the City of Buffalo would invoke Article 19B of New York's Real Property Actions and Proceedings Law to certify the Buffalo Grand Hotel as abandoned and begin steps to obtain the building a clean title to the property. That is not a step that I took very lightly, but after years and years of broken promises and inaction, blight, unsafe conditions, and abuse of city resources, it became necessary. Since that announcement, we have served notice and provided the statutory 30-day cure window to the building owner. In fact, it's been nearly 4 months since we had that initial press conference. The Department of Permits and Inspection Services and other city departments have been open to negotiations, but we require compliance with life, safety, and New York State fire and building codes. Since our June announcement, we have continued to have conversations with the owner and his representatives, but to date, no credible plan or permit application has ever been submitted to the City of Buffalo, and the building is still not code compliant and not safe for occupants. In addition, this building sits at the gateway of downtown Buffalo, and we cannot allow its current condition to be the first thing people see when entering our city's core. Enough time has passed and zero progress has been made. At the end of the day, we cannot, and I will not, allow landmark properties like this to sit idle and deteriorate, causing blight, grass that is waist high, squatters in the building, signs of neglect, especially when this building could become and be curing one of the biggest problems we have in downtown Buffalo, and that's a lack of hotel rooms. A little bit of more background on it, as of October 16th, this building has 18 documented housing court violations and owes the city of taxpayers nearly $357,000, which include unpaid taxes, sewer charges, water bills, and adjudication fees. We've actually taken this owner into housing court, but where his attorneys have continuously showed up but done nothing but provide excuses and play victim. And I've heard some of the narrative out there from the owner about how this isn't his fault and maybe the city has been to blame a little bit, but just for additional information, the owner of this property also owns 356 Fuseron, the abandoned Wonder Bread factory, which has 11 open code violations and currently owes the city taxpayers $100,000 in unpaid taxes, sewer, and user fees. This is up nearly $500,000 that this owner owes to the taxpayers of the City of Buffalo. And add to that, this year alone, there have been 66 911 calls to the Buffalo Grand Hotel, 46 directed police patrols to that property, 34 of those calls related to trespassing, underscoring the ongoing safety and security issues at that vacant property. So to recap, there have been no permits filed, no serious action taken place on part of the owner, 18 housing code violations. It's a public safety drain on our police resources. There's a clear pattern of neglect at that property, and there's a litany of unpaid obligations at both properties for taxes, sewer charges, water, adjudication fees totaling nearly $500,000 due to the taxpayers of the City of Buffalo, in addition to other issues that he's having there financially as well. And again, at the end of the day, this property sits at the gateway to the downtown core here in the City of Buffalo. We cannot, and like I said, I will not allow properties and property owners to continue to negatively impact downtown Buffalo or our neighborhoods. And we'll continue to hold them accountable through any means necessary. And 19B of the New York Real Properties Proceedings Law was one of those avenues that we had at our disposal. And while we were hesitant to do so, the time came for us to take that action. So that's a brief update where we stand as we proceed with abandonment proceedings, and I can open it up to questions for myself or Corporation Counsel at this time.
Can you just explain what's changed between now and June when you first made the announcement about Article 19 proceedings?
The problem is nothing's changed, right? The property still sits there languishing in disrepair, in blight, unsafe conditions, and that's the property. At the end of that's the problem. At the end of the day, if the owner would have come in and rectified these housing code violations and worked with the city, which we were willing to and have been willing to do, this wouldn't be an issue. You can't file abandonment proceedings against a property that's not abandoned. But it's very clear prior to the June announcement and since the June announcement that there's no plan whatsoever to rectify the issues at that property.
How close is the city to taking over the Buffalo Grant?
You want to walk through maybe the process?
So, good afternoon, everyone. Under the real property actions and proceedings law, the city has taken essentially the first step, and that was the filing and posting of a notice in June or July of this year. There's a certain time period that is required to be afforded the owner to do what they are supposed to do, which is, maintain and secure their property. We have exceeded that time now. They've had more than double the time to do that. So, at this stage, our next step, and what we've advised them that we're going to do, is that we would file a notice of intent to commence an abandonment proceeding, likely within the next 2 weeks. At